I sent the 12 grand to my mom. The vacation money. He said it over dinner. Like he was telling me we were out of milk. No warning. No discussion. Just that. I was reaching for the salad dressing when the words landed. My hand froze midair. What did you say? He didn't blink. The vacation savings, he added. All of it. She needed help. I put my fork down slowly. You what? She raised me, he said, like that explained anything. Fed me, worked 2 jobs, sacrificed everything. I owed her. My throat tightened. You owed her our vacation? He shrugged. It's just money. We'll save up again. We've been saving for 2 years. He wiped his mouth calmly with his napkin. She needed it more. Without asking me? If I asked, you'd have said no. I sat back in my chair, stared at him like he'd turned into someone else. She needed it, he repeated. She's been alone ever since Dad died. She's getting older. She's struggling. That doesn't mean you get to empty our account. I didn't think you'd be this dramatic. I laughed under my breath. Not because it was funny, but because if I didn't, I might scream. And there's more, he said, in that same flat tone. I braced myself. She's moving in with us. Tomorrow. The room dropped 10 degrees. She's what? She's already packed. I hired movers. They'll be here around noon. I stared at him like I didn't understand English. She's moving into our house? She can take the guest room. You'll just have to move your office stuff downstairs. My office is where I work. That's not a pile of boxes, that's my job. She won't be in the way. Come on, you work from home. You can adapt. I stood up. He stayed seated. Unbothered. You decided this on your own. I'm her son, he said, as if that excused everything. Family comes first. At 10:37 p.m. I opened the bank app. Vacation fund, $0. 00. Last transaction, transfer to L. Monroe, $12,000. 00. No memo. No heads up. No shame. I opened the spreadsheet on my laptop, the one-eyed color-coded, tracked to the penny. Every gig. Every bonus. Every tip. Every time I skipped a coffee or a haircut or a Friday night out. All of it had gone into that fund. And now it was gone. He walked into the bedroom while I was staring at the screen. You're still mad. I didn't look at him. She allergic to anything? What? Your mom. Allergies. Food, meds, detergent? I don't know. Why? If she's living here, I need to know. He paused, unsure. You're not freaking out? I closed the laptop. Why would I? You're just being really calm. I'm not screaming, right? He looked at me like he couldn't decide if I was planning a party or a murder. She'll just need some space. That's all, he said. She's harmless. I smiled. Of course. She's family. When he fell asleep, I pulled out my notebook. List, things to do before the Queen arrives. Lock my office door. Move legal files into safe box. Transfer emergency savings to personal account. Change passwords on all shared platforms. Set up motion alerts on hallway cam. Then I wrote a name on the top of the page, Linda Monroe. I stared at it for a long time. She was coming into my house. Uninvited. On my dime. With my husband's blessing. And she thought it would be easy. She thought I'd roll over. Smile. Serve dinner. She didn't raise me. She has no idea who I am. I came home from the store, and she was already at the kitchen table, glasses on, pen in hand, papers spread out like she was doing our taxes. Except they weren't our taxes. They were bank forms. She looked up, all sweet. Oh. I hope you don't mind, I had Daniel print some things for me. He's so handy with the online stuff. Daniel, my husband, sat across from her, sipping coffee like it was Sunday brunch. What kind of things? I asked. Linda smiled. Oh, just little updates. You know how outdated systems can be. We're just getting my name added as a backup on the house account. In case anything happens. I laughed. What? She blinked. Well, you know, emergencies. If something were to happen to you or Daniel, God forbid, someone needs to keep the bills paid, right? That's not how that works, I said, stepping closer. You don't just get added to someone's mortgage account. Oh, sweetie, it's not a big deal. I'm not taking over anything. Just adding my name as an authorized signer. Daniel said it would be simpler that way. My eyes snapped to him. You said that. He shrugged. She just wanted to be helpful. Helpful? She wants access to our house. Our mortgage. Our bank. Linda shook her head. Oh my goodness, you're blowing this way out of proportion. It's just paperwork. No, it's not. You're trying to legally insert yourself into a contract that has nothing to do with you. She leaned back, folding her hands. Actually, that's not entirely true. I stared at her. She gave me that patronizing smile, the one that says, poor thing doesn't know how the world works. When Daniel and I first started looking for homes, I helped with the down payment, she said. A few thousand. Not much, but it helped secure the loan. I turned to him. Is that true? He looked uncomfortable. She gave us $5,000 when we were short. Remember? It was during the closing week. You said it was a gift, I snapped. Linda raised a brow. It was. I never asked for it back. But that doesn't mean I didn't invest in this home. I felt the heat rise to my face. You invested? So, what do you think that makes this your property now? Of course not, she said quickly. But I think being part of the financial picture is only fair. I mean, I'm living here now. I'm contributing. And if anything happens to you, nothing's going to happen to me, I said through clenched teeth. She gave me a long, knowing look. You've seemed off lately. Forgetful. You repeated yourself 3 times yesterday at dinner. That's because your schedule gave me a migraine. See? That's what I mean. The stress. I just want to help carry the load. I turned to Daniel again. You're okay with this? With her having access to our accounts? She doesn't want full access, he said. Just a signature authority. Back up. That's all. She's not family, I snapped. He looked shocked. She's my mom. She's not my family. And she sure as hell isn't a co-owner of this house. Linda stood slowly, collecting her papers. I think I'll leave these on the counter. Just in case you change your mind. I won't. No pressure, sweetheart. But I'll need an answer by Friday. The bank rep is coming to notarize. She left the room like she'd just offered me cookies. That night, I double-checked the deed. Both our names. No one else. No mention of Linda Monroe. But I couldn't sleep. Not because of what she tried to do, but because she did it so casually. Like this had always been the plan. And Daniel? He didn't stop her. He printed the forms. He sat there while she spoke. And when I asked him again in the dark, did you know she was going to pull this? He said nothing. Silence. Which is worse than lying. Because silence means consent. The letter came in a plain white envelope. No logos. No return address. Just my name, typed perfectly on the front. Inside, a welcome packet. Thank you for choosing Horizon Line Credit Union, it read. Your personal line of credit has been approved for $45,000. I stood there frozen. I hadn't applied for any credit. I hadn't even heard of Horizon Line. I flipped through the pages. There was a signature. My signature. At the bottom of a loan agreement I had never seen. The address was ours. The phone number matched. The email was mine. And then I saw it. Phone confirmation completed via SMS. SIM registered to Monroe, L. Passport used for ID verification. My full legal name. My throat closed up. I burst into the living room, the letter shaking in my hand. What is this? I shouted. Daniel looked up from his laptop. What's what? I threw the envelope at him. He read. Blinked. You opened a line of credit? No, I didn't. He frowned. But it's got your name, your email, your signature. That's not my signature. It's close, but it's off. Look at the loop on the G, I don't make that loop. He looked again. Maybe you just forgot. Forgot taking out a $45,000 loan? Linda walked in from the hallway, towel around her shoulders like she'd just stepped out of a spa. What's going on? She asked, all innocent. She thinks someone faked her signature, Daniel said, handing her the papers. Linda scanned them. Oh dear. Then she looked at me, full concern. Sweetheart, are you absolutely sure you didn't apply? Stress does funny things. You've been under a lot lately. Don't, I snapped. I'm not accusing. But if there's confusion. There's no confusion. She sighed. I read once that women under pressure sometimes self-sabotage financially. Emotional spending. Dissociation. It's not shameful, it's hormonal. Hormonal. I nearly laughed. So now I'm forging my own ID and registering burner phones? Daniel stood. Okay, let's just calm down. No, I said, turning to him. You think I did this? I don't know what to think, he said. But maybe talk to someone? I felt it then, like a switch flipped. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't an accident. This was coordinated. I grabbed my laptop, logged into our shared network, looked through browser history. 3 weeks ago, someone searched, how to authorize loan for spouse. 2 weeks ago, does power of attorney need to be notarized for loan? The IP address? The guest Wi-Fi. Activated at 2:14 a.m. That night, I hid in the laundry room and called the bank directly. After a 12-minute hold, a woman answered. Yes, the account is active, she confirmed. Opened in branch 517 Rockville. I've never been to Rockville, I said. Application included in-person signature. ID verified with a copy of your passport. My passport is locked in my home office. She paused. I'm sorry. I didn't authorize this, I said. I think I've been set up. Then you'll need to file a fraud report. I'll do that. But can you tell me who is listed as the emergency contact? Typing. Then, Linda Monroe. I closed my eyes. I returned to the kitchen. Linda was sipping wine again, flipping through a cookbook she never used. Did you use my passport? I asked. She didn't look up. Why would I do that? You tell me. You've been acting erratic. Confused. You say people do things they haven't. Maybe you left it out. Maybe you don't remember. Daniel stood in the doorway, watching us both. Linda finally met my eyes. Calm. Centered. I'm worried about you, she said. Truly. This level of paranoia isn't healthy. I didn't sleep. Instead, I stayed up pulling phone records, printing email logs, creating backups. If they were building a case that I was unstable, irrational, unfit, I'd need a stronger one. A case for myself. Because this wasn't just identity theft. It was character theft. And they were getting bold. Too bold. Which meant they thought I was close to breaking. So I smiled at breakfast the next morning. Because I wasn't breaking. I was watching. It started small. Keys. Phone. Cup. Little things I'd put down and find somewhere else. I'd leave my car keys on the counter and discover them hours later in the freezer. My coffee mug appeared in the bathroom cabinet. The TV remote inside the laundry basket. I thought it was stress. Or sleep. Until the patterns got deliberate. One morning, while reorganizing the kitchen, I reached for my vitamins. The usual orange bottle. Same brand. Same label. Except the pills inside were different. Flat white tablets, no logo. Bitter when I crushed one between my nails. I Googled the imprint. Lorazepam. A sedative. My hands started shaking. I checked the other bottles. All fine. Only mine switched. Someone had been in my things. Again. At school pickup, my daughter climbed into the car, clutching her backpack. Grandma says you might be going away soon, she said matter-of-factly. To a special place. Like, where people get better. I gripped the steering wheel. When did she say that? Last night. She said not to worry. Daddy and Grandma will take care of me. She said that? My daughter nodded, kicking the seat. Are you sick, Mommy? I forced a smile. No, baby. Mommy's fine. Inside, my pulse roared. That evening, our neighbor caught me at the mailbox. She leaned in, whispering like we were in a conspiracy. Hey, you okay? Why? I heard weird stuff. People saying you've been yelling at night. Like screaming. That you're losing it. My stomach dropped. Who told you that? She hesitated. Linda mentioned something when she was walking the dog. Said you weren't sleeping. That you're not yourself. I felt my face go cold. I don't even have a dog. She walks your husband's dog, the neighbor said, confused. I had no reply. That night I set up my phone camera in the kitchen. Left it running. Went to bed. At 2 a.m., I woke to a noise. Soft clinks. Drawers opening. I crept to the hall and peeked. Linda in her robe, pouring something into my teacup. The next morning, the doorbell rang. A man stood there in a gray blazer, holding a clipboard. Another woman behind him, carrying a bag. "Good morning, Mrs. Hale. I'm Dr. Stedman. This is my colleague. We're here for a wellness visit." "A what?" "A confidential mental health check. There's been an anonymous report expressing concern about your safety and the safety of those around you." My husband appeared behind them, rubbing his neck. "It's routine," he said. "Just let them talk to you. Clear everything up." "Anonymous report?" I asked. Dr. Stedman smiled gently. "We just need to ask you a few questions." Linda stepped into the foyer, her hands on my daughter's shoulders. "It's okay, sweetheart," she cooed. "Mommy's just a little tired." I stared at all of them. The clipboard. The forced calm. The little girl watching. I wanted to scream. Instead I said, "Fine. Come in." They sat at the dining table. Asked about sleep. Mood. Memory lapses. If I'd ever had thoughts of harming myself or others. Linda hovered near the doorway like a nurse. Answering questions meant for me. "She's been very forgetful lately," she said. "She misplaced her passport. Screamed at me last night over nothing. Even frightened the child once." I gripped the chair until my knuckles whitened. "That's not true." Daniel stared at his hands. Dr. Stedman made a note. "Have you been taking any new medications?" "No," I said. Linda coughed softly. "She's been trying different supplements. I don't know exactly what. She leaves bottles around. Sometimes mixes them up." The doctor looked at me. "Would you consent to a quick urine test? Just to rule out any substances?" Linda smiled. "That would be best. Put everyone at ease." I excused myself, went upstairs, and locked the bathroom door. Pulled out my phone. Watched last night's footage. Linda at my teacup. Emptying a capsule into it. Looking right at the camera and smiling. I came back down holding my phone. "Doctor," I said calmly. "Before we test anything, you need to see this." I pressed play. The room went dead silent. Daniel's face drained of color. Linda's smile froze. The clipboard stopped moving. For the first time, I saw a crack in her mask. Not guilt. Not shame. Fear. And that's when I realized they weren't just trying to medicate me. They were trying to erase me. And I just caught them on tape. I opened the bottom drawer in Daniel's desk looking for a stapler. What I found instead was a notebook. Spiral-bound. Blue cover. My name written across the front. Except the handwriting wasn't mine. Inside were dated entries. Paragraphs written in the first person. Like a diary. I feel like I'm not myself. I worry I could snap. I screamed at my daughter again today. I might need to go somewhere. For everyone's safety. My stomach flipped. Page after page, all in a voice trying to sound like mine. But it wasn't. And the final line on the last page. "If anything happens, I want Daniel and his mother to handle everything." I stood there in the silence of his office, holding what was essentially a paper trail for a future commitment hearing. I made 3 copies. One hidden at work. One in a locker at the gym. One with my sister in Seattle, someone I trusted. Then I went to the bank. I told the teller I needed a full printout of our home loan activity. She asked for ID. I handed her mine. She typed, frowned slightly, then excused herself. 2 minutes later, she returned with a manager and a file folder. "I'm afraid there was an equity adjustment made last month," she said. "A second lien, $90,000. "A second lien on the house?" I said. "No one told me." She blinked. "It was co-signed by both homeowners." "I didn't sign anything. It's notarized." I opened the folder. Saw my signature, again, nearly perfect. But not mine. This time on a document titled HELIC Application, Fast Access Program. And the money? Withdrawn to a linked account under the name L. Monroe. The room spun. I stepped back, pressing a hand to the counter. The manager lowered her voice. "Do you want to flag this as fraudulent?" "Yes." Immediately. She nodded. "We'll begin an internal review." Then something shifted in her face, just slightly. She looked over her shoulder, leaned in. "You're not the first." "What?" She hesitated. "Let's just say, I've seen her in here before." with other clients, elder care situations, trusts, property transfers. You're saying she's done this before? I'm saying, keep everything. On the drive home, I pulled over and opened our life insurance app. Just to check. 2 active policies. One on Daniel, one on me. Mine had a payout of $250,000. Primary beneficiaries? Daniel Hale, Linda Monroe. I nearly threw the phone. It wasn't just invasion. It wasn't just manipulation. They were planning my exit. On paper. On purpose. With payouts. That night, I confronted him. I know about the second mortgage, I said. He blinked. What? I know about the insurance. The fake diary. The forged loan applications. He stared at me like I was a stranger. What are you talking about? I threw the notebook on the table. This. Your mother's handwriting. Writing that I'm a danger. That I'm mentally unwell. That I want to hand everything over to you. He looked at it. Said nothing. Daniel, I said. Do you know what forgery gets you? Do you understand what attempted medical fraud looks like in court? He finally spoke. Quietly. You were spiraling. No, I snapped. I was resisting. You all just didn't like it. At midnight, I installed cameras in 3 more rooms. Backed up all emails. Called a lawyer. Burner phone. Cash only. Because now I knew the truth. This wasn't just a takeover. It was a setup. And I was the final obstacle. They didn't just want me out. They wanted me gone legally, financially, maybe even physically. And I wasn't going down quietly. At 2:03 a.m., the hallway camera caught them whispering in the kitchen. I sat in the dark upstairs, eyes locked on my phone screen, audio feed live. Linda's voice came first. She'll sign. She's tired. The pills will kick in, it's just a matter of time. Daniel murmured something I couldn't make out. Then, we'll say it was voluntary. A wellness decision. We cared enough to act. I paused the stream. Breathed. Rewound. Listened again. There it was. Clear. Calm. Cold. By dawn, I had 3 voice recordings. Footage from 2 nights. A blood test appointment for 9:15 a.m. Screen captures of the loan, diary, and insurance changes. And a folder titled Emergency uploaded to 3 separate clouds. At 7:45, Daniel brought me coffee. Unusual, he never brought coffee. He smiled too wide. Sat beside me. Reached into his bag and handed over a document. Hey, I need you to take a look at something. I took it. It was 2 pages. Page 1, Voluntary Temporary Guardianship Transfer. Page 2, Property Authorization Form. This is just in case, he said. While we figure things out. It's not permanent. Just a formality. For peace of mind. Whose peace? I asked. He didn't answer. I looked over the papers. Legalese everywhere. Tiny lines. Complex phrasing. You want me to sign away custody of our daughter? Temporarily. Just until you. Until I what? He faltered. Until things settle. And the house. He shifted. Just partial oversight. Linda can manage things better, that's all. I looked up at him. Calm. You have a pen? He blinked. Really? I trust you, I said sweetly. He handed it over. I signed both pages. Slowly. Neatly. Then stood up. Walked over to the bookshelf. Pulled out a small black box. Pressed play. His voice. Her voice. The words, she'll sign. The pills will work. We'll say we just wanted to help. His face drained of color. You've been recording? For days. He stormed out. Slammed the door so hard it shook the windows. 15 minutes later, I watched the hallway cam again. Daniel, whispering with his mother in the guest room. She knows. She played me. Linda's face stayed frozen. What did she hear? Everything. I think she has the footage. Linda walked slowly to her dresser. Opened the top drawer. Pulled out her own recorder. She hit stop. You idiot, she said. What? She signed the wrong one. That wasn't the transfer. It was a setup. She baited you. Daniel paced. What do we do now? Linda sat down, eyes distant. We wait. For what? For her next move. Neither of them knew I was watching all of it. Neither of them knew I'd already sent copies to a lawyer. Neither of them knew what tomorrow was. They came at 9:43 a.m. Two unmarked cars. One officer. One woman in a gray suit. And a man in a blazer with a state seal on his badge. I opened the door. Mrs. Hale. Yes. We're here regarding a joint investigation into possible fraud, coercion, and psychological abuse. They didn't ask me to leave. They asked me to sit. To explain. To show what I had. I brought out the folder. The flash drive. The notebook. The woman in the gray suit listened in silence. When I finished, she said, "Do you have legal counsel?" I nodded. "He'll be here in 10 minutes. "Good," she said. "Because you're not under investigation." But they are. Linda was in her bathrobe, mid-yogurt. When she saw the officer, she said, "Oh, did she finally snap and call 911? The woman in the suit stepped forward. "Ma'am, you're being questioned in an open investigation. Please stay seated." Daniel came downstairs rubbing his face. "What's going on?" The agent held up the forms I'd signed. "These, Mr. Hale, did your wife consent knowingly to signing these under false pretenses?" Daniel stammered. She signed it. But with a hidden recorder running, I added, "Which caught both of you discussing the plan the night before." Linda's voice cracked. "We just wanted to help her." She was spiraling. The officer cut her off. "We've heard that. We have recordings. We've seen enough to begin charges. Forgery. Medical coercion. Attempted financial fraud." Daniel looked at me. "I didn't know she wrote that diary. That wasn't my idea." Linda gasped. "You read every page." They turned on each other like feral dogs. And then the final twist came from the smallest voice in the room. Our daughter stood at the top of the stairs, holding a stuffed animal. She looked down at everyone. Quiet. Watching. Then she said, "Is Tasha coming too?" Everyone froze. I turned slowly. "Who's Tasha, baby?" "The lady with the shiny purse. The one who has the dog like daddy. The one Grandma said would be my new mommy." Daniel went pale. Linda closed her eyes. The agent looked at Daniel. "Who's Tasha?" He hesitated. "She's a friend. From work." "She visited the house?" the officer asked. "Once or twice," Linda said quickly. "But not for—" Our daughter cut in again. "She played house with Daddy in the guest room." I heard them laughing. The silence hit like a dropped piano. Tasha. That was the reason. The core. The rot beneath it all. Not just money. Not just control. She was the prize. "She's going to ruin this," Daniel had whispered on the hallway cam. Linda answered, "Then get her out. Before Tasha changes her mind." It wasn't a family. It was a replacement plan. Institutionalize me. Take the deed. Keep the kid. Install Tasha. Neat. Clean. Compliant. Only one thing went wrong. Kids hear more than you think. The moment that cracked it all wasn't mine. It was hers. Our daughter stood at the top of the stairs. Quiet. Watching. Hugging her stuffed fox. "Is Tasha coming too?" she asked softly. For adults froze. I knelt. "Honey, who's Tasha?" She tilted her head, thoughtful. "The lady who brought Grandma flowers. She has the sparkly bag. And she calls Daddy babe when she thinks I'm asleep." I stared at Daniel. Linda swallowed hard. "She's just someone from work," he said quickly. Our daughter kept going. "Grandma said she'd be my new mommy. After mommy goes to her resting place." A pause. "My resting place?" I echoed. The caseworker turned. "Who told you that phrase?" She pointed at Linda. "She whispered it when I was coloring." They didn't cuff them that day. But the investigation unfolded fast. Medical fraud. Unauthorized property use. Psychological coercion. Blood work. Audio. Written evidence. All entered. And I gave my full statement. Then walked out. That weekend, I packed for two. Just the essentials. No trace left. At breakfast, I handed my daughter a seashell-shaped suitcase. "We're going on a trip," I said. "To visit Grandma?" she asked. I smiled. "No, baby. To find the ocean." We drove south. No calls. No GPS. Just music and wind and open road. Rented a small place off the shore. Wooden porch. Sea air. A bedroom with bunk beds. We swam, built sandcastles, laughed like it hadn't happened. I paid with what was left of the emergency fund, the money Linda never got her hands on. That night, after my daughter fell asleep, I opened the Cloud app. One new message. From Daniel. You win. I stared at it for a while, then deleted the account. Without replying. Because this was never about winning. It was about not disappearing. And now? We were still here. Still real. Still free. And I wasn't playing anymore.